What is up, profitable stylists? Here we go. This week, we are talking about which pay is better in the salon industry. Is it by the hour? Is it by renting? Or is it by the commission? No, 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 no pay is good. Not one kind of pay is good.
One time I was doing this attorney's hair and I said, "How do you guys get paid?" And he said, well, it's the Eat What You Kill program. I said, "What?" He said, "Yeah, commission. It's the only way you should get paid. If you don't kill, you don't eat." I was like, "Oh, that's interesting." And so immediately I started thinking like, okay, that makes sense. So hourly, how do you, if you pay somebody hourly, what do you get for it? It has to do with it has everything to do with the owner's business ownership style. If they're going to do all the advertising and marketing and bring in all the clients and provide all the experience for the clients, and all you are is a robot cutting hair, and I say that to make it feel, because I know that's where you don't like hourly. I don't love hourly either, because I feel like, why even get a license to do hair if you're just going to work hourly? That is hairdressers get out of school and they're so nervous about how they're going to make money. And that is guaranteed and the least scary. I get it. Whereas commission, if you do nothing, you get paid nothing, which is what should happen. If you have no motivation, no skill, you don't even want to take a walk in because you're a little scared. Oh, I don't do men's cuts. I'm kind of scared to do shortcuts. You shouldn't get any money then.
But Bernard, I showed up.
Right.
I sat here for hours. I showed up.
I know. Did you see that thing on TikTok where that girl records herself being fired from her online job? And that's what she says. "I did everything y'all asked. I showed up every single day online and I tried. I know I didn't make any sales for the last month or two or three or whatever, but I showed up." And it was like, well, that's the whole point. If you don't bring money in, the company has no money to pay you. You have to. And this was a hard reality for me to hear one time, because I don't think that the employees want to understand it like this, because then the man is making more money than you. So I remember one time somebody told me, they're like, "Well, you go get a job at a company," probably my dad, like, "You get a job at a company, you got to bring in more than they pay you." I was like,
You have to produce more than what you're worth, right? I was doing a show on stage at a hair show. I had the crowd in the palm of my hands. They were screaming and yelling and jumping, and I attracted so much attention. I was so happy. I get down from stage. The backstage manager pulls me aside. She goes, "If you ever pull any crap like that again, you're out of here." I go, "What are you talking about? I had the best show in the world." She goes, "They spent so much time enjoying the performance. Nobody went over to buy anything. You produced a fat zero." She goes, "If you pull that kind of stunt again, you're out of here." I was 21. I was so confused. I was so confused.
That makes perfect sense, because you don't really understand business when you're young. Most people don't. Even me neither. In the very early days, you don't really understand what the purpose of all the different things going on. You get a job and you usually just want to gravitate towards the fun, like the excitement at the stage with the hairdresser that's cutting hair with a blow dryer and hair's flying all over the place. But if no money's coming, yeah, you want to get paid for that stage performance though, right?
I thought I earned it. I thought I had the crowd excited. I thought we had like a massive audience. Yeah. I thought I did good. Like I said, I was so happy. I was so it was like being slapped in the face. I was so confused. Here's her. I'm thinking she's going to pull me aside and be like, "Hey, great job, buddy." Right?
Yeah.
No, she was like, "If you ever pull that kind of crap again, that stunt again, you're out of here." I'm like,
I thought I did good. I don't understand.
What did I do?
That's a great example. So, right. So the part for me though that was weird was when they said I had to pull in more. I'm like, why wouldn't I get everything? I'm the one making the money. Why don't you give it to me? I didn't get the side of the bills, all the other things that created this job for me and the risks that the company's taking. And so this is why I don't like, oh man, we'll go into that in a minute. I like being a part of the hairdresser's growth, but you've got this pie. I've done this. I've had hairdressers come to me and ask for more money. And I'm going to use some real basic numbers so I don't have to draw it and it'll make some sense. Let's say a salon pays 50% commission. So right down the middle of the pie, right down the middle of my face. So it goes left, right? So this half is the salons, this half is the hairdressers, 50% commission, right? So I'll draw this for a hairdresser and I'll say, do you get to spend all that money you made? Let's say we each made $500 for the week. You're like, oh, you took 500 of my dollars. Well, first of all, do you get to keep all 500 of yours and buy boots, makeup, and clothes and just have fun and go to Disney World? And they're like, no, I have bills. You got a car, no, a house. And I was like, right. So do I.
And they're twice yours.
Yeah, with the business,
we have the business, right? As the owner, your cost of doing business is twice.
Cost of doing business, and there's averages. Most people would say if you make 10% on the business, that's great. Most people are making 4, 6, losing money for a year or 2 or 3, depending on how you're running the business. So let's just say things are going okay, and I'm making 10% of that 50 on my side. So 10 is for me to get a nice car, and the other 40 is paying the receptionist, salon coordinator, whatever, the computer program, the rent, the electric bill. And on your side, you've got bills, right? Mm-hmm. And you maybe have 40% of your money is on the bills, and that last 10% of the 50 is for you to have fun with. Or you're spending more than you make and you're running up credit card debt, which is more common for most people. You're not really making enough to live on, or you're buying too much and living above your means, which is fine. That's your choice to do. But at the same time, they come to me and they say, I need a bigger percentage. But if I give you a bigger percentage, it comes right out of the profit. I would rather not have you, because I need to make money. That's the reason I got into business, was to make money. So what we need to do is you need to bring in more clients. I'll help you bring some clients in. You bring some clients in. We get you. The real challenge here is, how much does the owner help the hairdresser bring clients in or teach them how to do better services? Because we both work on getting you clients. That's what I love about a commission structure. But then how well do you keep them? And I teach that to my staff. And if you can't keep them, maybe at some point, I don't want to keep you. You need to be able to do a good job, have a good relationship, get that client to want to come back, or schedule them before they leave, right? So that's a big thing for me. And as that book gets built and you get customers that actually stay and want you, well, then we can raise your prices because of supply and demand. You're in demand. People love you. They need or willing to pay more money to see you because you're better than everybody else that they've ever been to or in the salon or whatever. And then when we raise your prices, that pie gets bigger. And that little 10% on both sides that we both get to play with goes up. We both make a little bit more money. But my 40%, my bills go up too, because now you're using more shampoo, more conditioner, more electricity. You're monopolizing my salon coordinator's time. She's dealing with all just your clients because you're so busy, which is fine. You deserve it. You're making more money for all of
that was the flip side of what I never understood too. When I was a stylist before I opened the shop, everybody would always say, "Oh man, we got to ask for a raise. We need more commission. We need 55%. We need 60%."
Yeah.
And then we'd go to the owner, and the owner would say, "No, 50% is fair. Raise your prices. If you want to raise your prices."
But you didn't understand that.
We didn't understand that either. We're like, well, I can't raise my prices. That's taboo. The age old, thing of this industry. Oh my God, I raise my prices $1, I'll lose my client, over $1.
But you want me to give you more of the salon owner's money, but you don't want to ask.
Right. I want to make the same less money that I'm making, even though inflation and life and society is moving forward and getting their raises, And
the people who are really paying all of us are the clients. And you don't want to ask the client for more money, but you want to ask the owner for more.
The owner for more money.
Of what money?
You ask the owner of the no money that exists.
That's the thing that most people don't get. So with that being said, let this be the thing that goes viral. This is why I hate rental situations. Because, I say it, because in most situations, it would have been me included in the early days. A hairdresser just doesn't have enough information, or doesn't know yet, or doesn't have the experience, or know how to own their own business. and they do it prematurely. That's the biggest problem I see
Okay.
with rental.
Okay.
I mean, some people, like you said, an old salon owner, salon burns down. She comes to you and says, I don't want commission. I just need a place to work until I get my place back together. Or do you have a rental situation? I would say go to a place like a Salon Suites where they have the little private rooms, get your own little private room, rent that space, do whatever you want with it. But even I had an old boss who was closing his salon down, and he needed a temporary place to work. One place, the water went out, the electricity went, whatever. Come on in. I'm a team player. I'm a friendly guy. I've let other hairdressers come work with me for a short time. Katrina, there was a lady in New Orleans. Her house flooded and her salon flooded, and she was living on this side of the lake. She worked with me for like a year and a half, and I did actually do a different pay structure for her because it was temporary. I was helping her out. I had the extra chair and space, and it was all the other hairdressers knew, like, this is not a new thing for our salon. She's going to run her own little thing in the corner. She can collect her own money. We're helping somebody out who's in need. That's a different situation. It's temporary. She came in with a full book of clients. I wasn't helping her at all. As a matter of fact, we learned a lot from her. It was a black stylist with a whole bunch of black clients, and we were a predominantly white salon. So it was really fun to bring a whole different culture into the salon. Also, we learned so much about styling hair from her. It was almost like we owed her something for coming in,
right?
bringing in the education and the entertainment and just the new life into the salon, because she would do so many customers at the same time and nobody else was really doing that. It was so impressive. But that's like one-offs, that's not the typical situation. This is what I see so often with rental situations. A hairdresser, they get booked solid. And like you just said, I want to make more money. They want to make more money before they even deserve it. But they get to the point where they want to make more money, but they're afraid to raise the prices like they should, right? So they don't raise the prices. They think, what is a way that I can make more money? And somebody says, well, if you go rent somewhere,
you get to keep all the money.
Yes.
You get to keep all the money.
All of it. Yeah. So we've had a few renter, like people.
That extra 50 cents. You get to have that extra 50 cents.
Well, no, it's 50% in a lot of cases, but
no, it's 50 cents by the time the government takes everything. Come on.
Well, they have no idea what the expenses are either, because they've never really gone to school to learn. They didn't ask anybody. They've never run a business before, and they don't know. So they're just thinking the expenses can't be that much. But we've had a few, they come back and tell us, can I come back? And usually we say no, because it was different reasons we ended up parting ways. But we've had a few tell us how much they're not making in the rental situation because they didn't realize how expensive things were. But here's another, just inherently, this is kind of what happens with rent. A lot of rental situations, it's a hairdresser that was making commission, and they have a decent amount of money coming in, and they think, God, if I get to keep all of it, my pay is going to double immediately, right? So they base everything on this doubled pay that they're not going to get because they have no idea what the bills are yet. And so they go try to rent space somewhere if they're going to do it on their own, or open a rental salon because they're going to gather up 3 or 4 other hairdressers to go do it with them. If we each do it, we can pay for this new space. So they don't end up getting as good of a location. This is most commonly what happens first. And again, this is not 100% of the time, but you end up with, you go over into Old Town or off the beating path. You're not on a main or a main and main, 2 main highways or 1 main highway. You're in a nondescript, off the main beaten path because you all have clientele and you don't feel like you need it, So people are going to find you. They don't need to see you. We're not going to build off of word of mouth or seeing a sign anymore. We're not even going to put a sign up. We don't need it, And so then you go there and then you start developing bad habits. If you don't have good habits, you got 2 hours off from 11 to 1, you go shopping. You go take a long lunch. Whereas if you're in that commission situation and the boss has got a little bit more like, hey, you'll start going the wrong way if you stop showing up for work, coming in late, leaving early, taking long lunches. You're not going to get the walk-ins, the call-ins. You're not going to get the extra stuff. You're not going to be able to assist other people where you can make money assisting. And so it ends up being where you have to be self-motivated and have good habits to do the rental situation. And too often the I'm going to go own my own thing and rent a space because then I can do what I want. But the problem is the doing what you want, you really don't ever get to do what you want, even as an owner. You have to do what the clients want, and you have to do what the money wants if you want to be successful. And people don't think that way in the beginning because they just don't know. I've been guilty of the same thing. And this is why I can talk about it now. You get to the point where you're like, I don't have a client for the first hour in the morning. I'm gonna go work out and work out a little longer, or have a big breakfast, spend money that I'm not making now because I'm an hour off, and then go shopping in the middle of the day, or take a long lunch with some friends and then leave early. Whereas as an owner mentality, I used to think, okay, I'm going to work from 9 to 5, no matter what. If a customer doesn't show, I'm going to pay some bills, make some orders, do some marketing, call some old customers, try to bring them in. Use these are my working hours. Use these hours to move forward in the business. Then I have the free time. You have to make those tough decisions. And too often, when you're in a rental situation, you're a new renter, you don't get it till you start failing. So that's my experience watching a lot of people go into the rental situation and watching a lot of rental salons close down. Because
when I owned my shop, this was the difference. A stylist would have this happens to a lot of hairdressers. This happens to everybody. You have that gap in your day. You have that hour or two gap. You know, your last client is at 1 o'clock. Your next client isn't until 5. Right. And you have like 3-4 hour gap. You have this big block. And then what does the stylist do? They run up to the front desk. Oh, can you just mark me off? And if somebody calls, just I'll have my phone with me. Just call me. I'll come back. I'll be 30 minutes away. I'll be back in 30 minutes. I'm going to go home, you know, or yeah, I'm going to go do something. And then I'd have majority of the staff would do that. I'd have one. At one point I had 2. But I had one stylist in particular. She'd come and say, hey, Eddie, can I talk to you? I have this 3-4 hour block in my day. I don't know what to do with myself. How can I be productive? Like, what do I do? How do I make it where I don't have this block anymore? I'm like, all right, well, come on over. Let's talk about this. Let's go, right? Let's do this. And I would send her out. I would send her out down the strip. You know, we were in a strip mall. So I'd send her down the strip to the other businesses, and I'd have her do business with the other businesses next door, with our neighbors. I'd have her go down the street, you know, I'd have her, but just be gone for about 15, like a block, an appointment block, 15, 30 minutes.
Right.
And then she'd be right back. And then when she was back, I would have her assist the other busy hairdressers so their clients can see her and get exposed. So this way she would start getting known in the salon as somebody who's constantly moving and doing. Whether she was doing hair or not, she was constantly moving and doing. And it made her into an entrepreneur mentality. It made her into, like you said, an owner mentality. I have come in at 9 o'clock. I am here till 5 or 6 or whatever the time is.
Right.
I need to be productive during the time that I said I am coming into work.
Right.
Within 6 months, almost a year, all of a sudden, she starts getting booked more than the other stylists who have been there longer than she has. And I have staff meetings regularly. So now during the staff meetings, I'm starting to get animosity towards her. The other staff are saying, hey, how come she's getting more new clients than I am? You're favoring her over me. This is BS.
I am favoring her.
And this was the whole thing. You should have seen the look on their face. You know how we were doing the emoji thing earlier? You know, I'm like, I am favoring her. She is better than you. You suck. You are not a good hairdresser. You're a loser. And then they would be like, oh my God, how you could say that? I'm like, look, you're lazy. I don't know what to tell you. You have an employee mentality, and that's okay. So when you are here, I'll feed you the clients. And when you're not here, I ain't going to worry about you because you're coming and going as you're pleased.
But I'm just 30 minutes away. Just call me.
But yeah, right. But that was the whole thing. I'm only 30 minutes away. I'm like, do you really think your client, a walk-in new client, what impression is that going to give a walk-in new client?
And how can they think you're going to call them when you've got other hairdressers that will sit and stay at the salon ready to take the walk-ins?
That's the whole thing.
Yeah. Why would you call somebody that's going to come in 30 minutes? Maybe you would call them after you're booked solid with the people that are staying there. But I don't get the mentality. There's no.
So how that feeds into rental. So then that stylist would get mad. And then she'd say, I'm just going to go rent my own space. I don't need this crap. I'm like, all right, go for it. Good luck. I truly hope you succeed. She goes, why are you saying it like that? I go, because your mentality and what it would like where you are with your mental state of looking at business and what it takes to actually conduct business. Like you said, the responsibility of ownership and the responsibility of the money that comes along with it.
Everything changes.
That habit, when you leave with a bad habit, this is the downside of renting. When you're like, oh, see, I have an empty book. I'm just going to block myself off. Or I'm just going to, oh, my 5 o'clock, I'm going to call her. Can you come in at 3? This was my pet peeve. Oh, why is she coming at 5? Tell her to come at 3. Maybe the poor madam gets off at 4:30 and she can get here by 5.
Right.
You know, she booked a 5 o'clock for a reason. What's it to you?
I get it. You want to book tighter and have all your customers closer together.
It sucks. I get it too. But you start doing that in the studio because it's yours now, right? And then you start getting into that habit of you start blocking yourself off. Then you get into that habit of you're not advertising anymore. You're not building new business. So this is the rule of business. Your clients are going to get old, your clients are going to die, or your clients are going to move away, or they're going to go to somebody new. Though those are the 4 things you need to be bringing in.
Always have to be getting new ones, is what you're saying.
You always have to bring in new, fresh business to compensate for the how is it called? Natural attrition. Yeah.
Loss.
Yep, so
you're gonna lose clients.
Yeah. And if you're not prepared for that mental hustle, this is why a lot of renting scenarios fail, unfortunately.
Slowly go down because they were built up by the salon owner mostly. And then they think they're going to take it and make it all instead of half. And they go and rent. And then they're like, oh my God, I didn't realize the bills were so much. And by the time you get all the bills paid. So my favorite is it's more than that. Their mindset does change in a lot of ways. First of all, one of the more common ones for me is I don't even do part-time anymore. Somebody comes to me and wants to work part-time. I say no. Now, maybe when we get the salon booked solid full-time and we started thinking about doing some shift work where we are open more hours and we'll have some nighttime hours, I might go into some part-time hours, but first the full-time hours and positions are going to have to be full. But my favorite, because I've seen it happen a few times now, and I get it. Don't become a hairdresser if you don't want to work on Saturdays. That's a big day and it's hard because that's our life, and Sunday, Mondays are weekends, and a lot of kids have their sports games on Saturdays. And so I've hired a lot of moms that are dreading not seeing their kids do their sports or the birthday parties on Saturday.
Yeah.
And we're all sacrificing something somewhere. And that the Saturdays is a difficult one. I get it. And so I would have them begging to take Saturdays off. And I'd say, no, I'm so sorry. You knew when you started working for me, that's the day we work. And then some of them would go to every other Saturday. And I kind of entertained that for a while. If they maybe worked Monday. But I find if their heart's not in it and they're trying to take off Saturdays, it's usually not going to work out. Shortly after they quit because they don't want to work Saturdays anymore, and they go maybe rent a space or something. And this particular salon where I had a couple of hairdressers leave to go rent had all glass on 3 sides. It used to be a donut shop. And I would drive by when I'd get off, because I get off a little earlier because I'm doing office work on a Saturday, or if I go to lunch, and I want to curse right now and say those witches were working in that salon on Saturday now because they had to cover those bills.
They have to now.
They didn't want to do it for me, but now they're like, oh God, I got to pay the bills. The customers want to come in on Saturday. I'm working on Saturday. I told one of them recently, I said, how's renting working out for you? She goes, it's not. I should have never left here. Can I come back? We're like, no, you can't come back. Not just because of that, but you were mean and ran off a few stylists, and that's why you can't come back. But what's going on? I said, I have to admit, I got a little joy in my heart when I drove by and saw the very first Saturday after you quit, you were working in that salon on Saturday. I know I was. I said, you quit because you didn't like working Saturday. She goes, but I had to pay the bills. I'm like, right. So why couldn't you just stayed here and done it? We were. It's funny. I mean, we do what. When the pressure's on, we'll do what we have to do to make things work. And so, unfortunately, some people need to quit, go rent, make less money, or hurt, or be in pain to understand they either need to step up, show up, work harder, market, advertise, be tighter with their money, and maybe rent will work for them. That is definitely a possibility. But most people are not cut out to be owners. And when you rent, you are an owner. of your business. You're an owner.
That is the benefit of being a renter, renting a studio space, is you have that entrepreneurial mentality.
Well, you say it's a benefit. You have to have the entrepreneurial mentality.
No, I'm saying if you have that
Right.
mentality, then that could be seen as a benefit, because then you have your own thing. You get to build your own thing, with your creative vision, with your, equivalent of your fulfillment of what you want to produce in your life and be known for and stuff like that. So it's great. And then from there, you have the option to expand and maybe hire on a couple of new people and be your own thing. So that there is a strong negative to it. There is a equally strong positive to it, but man, it's not an easy thing, because you're doing it solo. And running a business solo is not an easy thing by any stretch of the means, because those bills are going to come, those bills, like you're saying, those bills are going to come at the end of the month, regardless of you took Saturday off or you work Saturday. Those bills are going to come equally with their handout waiting for their pay. So now you want to do hourly next, or you want to do commission next?
All of them, whatever.
Here's my thing with hourly.
Yeah, you might as well go on the hourly since you hate it so much.
I really do. I do not agree with hourly. Renting, I can understand that there is the plus and minus. Hourly, I don't understand the plus to it at all. I only understand the negative to it. I have this conversation a lot with hairdressers, especially after a hair extension training. And it's one of my biggest pet peeves, after I just spent the entire day with you showing you how to make the most profitable service behind the chair. And then you turn around at the end of it and say, how much should I charge by the hour to do the service? So here is the analogy that I always give. When you're doing a highlight, you don't count how many foils you use. You use as many foils as it takes to produce the level of brightness or look or style or contrast that you're trying to make. You should be weighing out your product, but you use as much powder and as much developer as you need to, whether it's an ounce or 3 ounces or 5 ounces. You use as much of it as you need to make sure all the hair is saturated enough. You time it for as long as you need to. You spend as much time as you do applying it. The point is, you spend an hour and a half to 2 hours or longer doing that service to create a finished look. Nobody complains how long it took you. Nobody asks, if I do only this, or if I do this, or if I do the whole thing. You have the price that you charge, and nobody bats an eye at that. That's the mentality of a commission. As much work as you do, you should get paid for the amount of work you do and you produce. By the hour, I just don't get it. You're just capped to forever make $20 an hour or 30 or 10 or I don't know, whatever the number is. But you're only ever going to make this much. So then your only choice is to work a longer day. So from 8-hour day, you're going to go to 12 to 16 to 24-hour, and then you're going to die in a week because you never slept or ate or rested. Like, what do you do? And then what, are you going to raise your price to give yourself a raise? $5, $2, 50. If you're going by the hourly thing, 10 to 25 cent raise every year is like the average raise per hour, hourly rate.
Right.
So it's going to take you 20 years to make $1 extra more that you get to keep in your pocket after taxes and everything. Like, it doesn't make it. I just don't understand this industry, as creative as it is and as free as it is. We get to wear what we want. We get to be how we want. We get to show ourselves to the client as we want. We get to create amazing things with artistry and creativity and imagination. How do you want to lock that down by the hour? Then just go work in an office. This is my opinion, but go work in an office. And there's nothing wrong with working in an office.
Right.
But that's the environment. Go work in that structured environment and then get paid by the hour accordingly. And that's okay. Well, I don't get the disconnect. To me, it's a disconnect.
Well, right. To me, the hourly, it actually stops creativity, because when you're creative and you do better jobs, you should be able to charge more, get paid more, and so that it enhances and encourages creativity because you make more. But if you're just going to get the same amount of money, it's hard to be or want to be creative or even care about the customer.
Because you're sitting there going, time.
Well, let's talk about where hourly does actually happen most of the time and seems to work. Do you know?
Franchise salons.
Yeah, right. Because they have a business plan. Their certain percentage is going to go to running that front desk, and it's going to be very consistent for the most part. They're going to have some marketing, so they're going to have. Let's do one of the more common ones, like a sports clips. They've got a bit of a scenario going on. They're going to be having TVs up like a sports bar, except you're getting haircuts. They're going to have games going on that you can watch. They might serve beer or wine, and so they're going to be catering to men and children, or maybe just men. So then they're going to expect the girls, like a Hooters, they're going to expect the girls to dress in a uniform that's going to be a little on the sexy side. So they're going to work the tips and the flirting, and that may be for you or may not be for you. But how are you going to expect an all men sports situation to not be a flirty environment? And so it's going to be they putting all the money into all these situations. So they are expecting men to come in and get haircuts. So they're doing all the advertising, all of the rescheduling, all of the marketing, the retargeted marketing, like don't forget to come back, all coming from the front desk. Yeah. So then you are just a hair cutter. You're not even going to do color or the creative stuff. Now, maybe you'll do some creative men stuff. Maybe you're going to shave some faces, do some beard trimming. You're going to trim up some eyebrows, some ears. You might do a little bit of waxing, but you're mostly going to just be knocking out as many haircuts a day. So now productivity is going to be the thing. How many can you get done in an hour? Because we're paying you this much per hour. You need to do at least this many per hour, or you're going to lose your job, because you need to bring in more money than we give you, so the business can stay open. That one still gets me, because in the early days, I really wanted to keep all of them. I made it all. Why can't I keep it? I had no clue that the business needed some money to stay open also. And so some people have no drive, no personality, don't want to have relationships with the clients. They say, I went to school to learn how to cut hair. I just want to go somewhere and just cut hair and make my $300 or $400 a week. Then maybe hourly is for you. And like I said, getting right out of school, if you are desperate and you got bills and you're about to, lose a house or children,
you need a guaranteed income,
and right? You need that. I can get hourly in the very beginning, but the trap is once you start making it, it's really difficult to go from making something per hour to making nothing to start a commission situation. And that's where some people will say, and I don't agree with this necessarily, because I think this is a little rude, but you can go to these hourly places and these people will get to know you and your name and your skill, and maybe follow you to the commission salon. I know it's
hard. That's rough, though.
It happens. People follow.
It happens. But if you think about it this way, I guess it depends on the environment that you're in, because right. Here's the benefit. Okay, so I'm trashing hourly, but here's the benefit of the hourly. Some places are giving benefits. Some people will give a retirement or an insurance or a something else to offset the hourly, so there is a benefit side to it. There is that guaranteed income that's coming in because you're putting in your time there. But here is the thing to it too.
Depends on what that hourly is also.
It depends what that hourly is, right? If you think, because this is what was told to me in the very beginning when I first, from beauty school, you start working in a low end salon or in one of these franchise salons, get paid by the hour, build up a book, and then you take those clients and you go into a commission environment or a situation. But the problem is we were doing $20 haircuts back then. We were doing, $25 color touch-ups back then. That's all that was that client's budget.
Right.
So then I went into a larger salon where we were charging $45. Right. They didn't follow me. I had to literally start all over.
It's like when you're in school and you're really desired in school because you're the better one, top of your class.
Out of the students.
Yeah. Oh man, all these customers are going to follow me into the salon. They don't.
No, they were paying $8 color services. Right. They were budgeted for $8 color services. They appreciated you because, you were the more talented of that student pool to choose from.
Right.
That was it, And that's, yeah, that's the harsh reality of it all.
Right. Right. And so when you move, it's a difficult thing to get the clients to follow you no matter what, because
You lose 30% of your book immediately, if not more,
20 to
but
30%,
at a minimum.
right? The statistics, depending on how many miles you move and if the prices are different, like you just said.
Yeah.
Right. And people get used to the environment they were in. If the sports places, they like the TVs and the beer, maybe,
I used to say creature of habit. Yeah.
Yep. You go into a new place, they feel uncomfortable. They already met the hairdresser you worked next to in the last place you worked at. They can just move over to them a lot easier than, and we know it from our own salon. Customers come in and they want another hairdresser here instead of following. And believe me, as an owner, I appreciate that, and I hate the ones we lose, but it's just it's part of the business.
That's
So I
business.
mean, and then what about 1099? You know anything about that?
This whole thing with the 1099 stylist, it's been around. Okay, look, this is not a new thing, people. This has
Right.
been around for a long time. Okay. There is this mindset where a stylist. So this whole thing started from before renting really became as predominant as it is now. This is a 30, maybe even more, maybe it's even a 40-year-old argument. The whole 1099 thing was the stylist that was a commissioned stylist. Okay, so if you were so you're the owner, an example. You're the owner, I'm the stylist. We're in a commission situation with each other. For simple math, 50-50. You're giving me 50% commission. I say, hey, boss, I want a raise. I want more percentage. I want 55. I want 60%. You, as the boss, say, no, you can keep your 50%, raise your prices if you want to raise, charge the client more money. And then I get aggravated. And I'm like, well, I'm already charging $50. I'm not going to raise my price to 55, and charge the client more money. That's not nice. So you know what? Why can't I have the other 50%? And then you turn around and you say, it's the cost of doing business. I got bills. I have your taxes. I'm responsible for you. I'm this, I'm that. So I turn around thinking I'm smart and I say, well, I'll just absolve you of all your issues. I'll supply my own stuff. I'll pay my own taxes. I'll deal with everything myself. In essence, I'm saying to you, I'll be a renter without being a renter. So that extra 20% that I'm costing you, or 30%, I think I'm only costing you an extra 20, 30%. So give me my 60, 70% commission that I want and 1099 me, and I'll be responsible for myself. I'll still follow all of your rules. I'll still come in and be an employee, but no, I want my percent.
Yeah.
Thinking that I'm going to be ahead.
And
that's how the 1099 started.
Yes, and that's good, because I like the 1099 situation, but again, it's about education, because you have to teach. The stylist would need to know how to benefit from a 1099, because with a 1099, you should, as the subcontractor, you should incorporate. You should have an LLC. So the salon should be paying your LLC name, make up a name. It can be your personal name, or it can be Best Haircutters of America. You can make
whatever name, right?
Right. You make up a name and they pay your LLC. So they pay your LLC. But the neat thing about that is you do have some owner benefits as far as expenses can be written off. You travel to a hair show, you buy clippers, maybe even the gas going in your vehicle. When you're when you're getting paid hourly or just straight commission, you are paid like an employee, and you don't get the same deductions as you do as a 1099. So you can make more money as a 1099. Most people just don't know how to do it. In our area, the same accountant that we use for our taxes, we teach our hairdressers how to go to that accountant and learn how to maximally benefit from how they handle their taxes, how they handle their savings, how they handle all their money if they want to. Sometimes they just have their own thing. They don't want to. We just let them do what they want to do. But if somebody wants to get paid to their LLC and make more money and have more deductions, we teach them how to do it. So that's a whole nother part that the government came against for a while, because so many hairdressers were saying, I want to get paid 1099 because I'm going to pay my own taxes. And then they don't. That's the other problem with rent. is that so often hairdressers in the best situations don't claim their tips, illegal, don't claim or pay any taxes at all, don't even claim any of their cash or say they make any money. So that's where hairdressers get the bad reputation. So many of them lie about their income that the government knows hairdressers are making a lot more money than they're saying they're making and not paying taxes.
You want to hear something wild in the state of Illinois?
Should we go off the air first?
No, no. It's public knowledge. It's public knowledge. In January 1st, so this year, right? So the state board has known about this issue that you're just describing right now for a number of years now.
Yeah.
They have been slowly building a task force. And as of the beginning of this year, January 1st, they sent out cease and desist orders to thousands upon tens of thousands stylists, thousands and thousands and thousands
That
of
we're not
stylists.
paying their taxes?
They weren't incorporated properly. They weren't licensed properly. They weren't registered with the village or with the state properly. So they were literally sending out cease and desist orders. And what a lot of stylists didn't understand or realize, to do hair unlicensed by the state you belong to, by your governing board, is a Class A felony. Felony, not a misdemeanor. It's a felony. It's a minimum $10,000 fine or more money-wise. And it could be a minimum of 6 to 1 year in jail, up to 3 to 5 years, because it's a Class A felony. Wow. Because it's considered physical, assault and battery. we are legally allowed to make physical human contact to another person. A cosmetologist is one of 3 industries that's legally, by the law, allowed to physically contact and touch somebody.
What are the other 2?
Doctors and I believe aesthetics, if I'm not mistaken, like massage and facials and stuff.
Right. So that's interesting, because at the same time you've got states trying to deregulate and get rid of licensing.
Isn't it weird? Isn't that mental? Right?
Yeah.
It's so mental. I've been helping a lot of stylists with their licensing and with, I'm not a lawyer by any means, but I deal with the state board enough that I understand like
what they need to do to be legal,
what they kind of need to do and what they need to ask. But then beyond that, they're on their own. They have to go and ask it and actually do it. Yeah. But it's this year in particular, since January, this past 2 months has been wild for me.
It's not worth the downside of cheating or lying.
It's really not.
A lot of new hairdressers think that, it feels cool to hide money, to not show your tips or not show your cash.
You know what an accountant told me a long time ago?
What?
So this is what set me straight. So my first year that I had to file my taxes, and everybody around me, I had seen the old hairdressers, I seen the young ones talking about it. They're like, "Oh, don't report your tips. Don't report anything. Only report half your income."
It's common.
It's common, right? So I go to the accountant and I ask him. I says, "What is this? I should only report half my income and not say anything about my tips." The guy looked at me. This is the best advice I was ever told by an accountant. He goes, "Do you want to enjoy your life now, or do you want to enjoy your life later?" I go, "What are you talking about?" He goes, "You pay into the system now, you get Social Security later. You don't report your income now, then you lose your 40 quarters later in life, and don't complain when your Social Security benefits are like $100 a month instead of potentially $1,000 or $2,000 a month."
And if you try to make a loan, your bills or your income, your tax return says you don't make enough money to get the loan. And you're like, no, but I did make more. I just didn't tell anybody. Well,
and I didn't understand the 40 quarters thing. I didn't understand Social Security. I didn't understand any of that.
Right.
So I was in my 20s. What the hell did I know about anything back then,
Right.
But it was a great advice that he told me. So he said, no, he goes, if you want to cheat, go find yourself a mob lawyer to do your books. I'm a clean accountant. I'm like, okay.
So you went and found a mob lawyer?
I looked. I couldn't find one, so I went back to
And the
Walmart.
yellow
How
pages
many
of the
clean
phone book
books?
under M for mob lawyer. I, how do you even find a mob lawyer? That's hilarious. Yeah. Yeah. When I changed accountants years ago and he said, I'll need you to put everything on top the table. I was like, this, like this table right here? He goes, no, no hiding anything under,
No
no
hiding
hiding
anything
it
under the
under the
table.
table, no under the table, no not paying taxes. I was like, oh, he said, I'll save you more in taxes doing everything correctly. And you'll be able to make a loan for that house and that car with
Yeah.
no problem because we're going to show all your income. I thought, so there's, I mean, when it comes to money as a hairdresser, there's just so much going on between hourly, commission, rent, salary. We never talked about salary because that's a
No, that
big
salary isn't that the hourly salary?
no,
Oh,
no,
salary as a commission salary.
no.
Oh, just a straight salary.
Yep. So
You
that,
know, oh, that's right. That is a well, to me, it's a newer thing that I've just learned about in the past couple of years.
so you know
You're right. I forgot about that.
there's one of the programs. Oh God, I don't know 100% about Salon Summit, but Summit and some of the other like salon training, like how to grow your business, how to run your salon kind of thing with goals and everything. They'll do they'll say salary. It's basically commission, but and I'm no advocate for any of these. I don't really understand it completely, but from what I understand from talking to other salon owners is that it's salary based on what the salon did last quarter. So it's ends up being ends up being late commission is what it really is, but it could go up or down. So they look at last quarter and who did what. So work real hard for 3 months, and then we're going to look and say you did really good. You did more than you did the quarter before. Everybody's salary is going up a little based on what you did before. So it's they call it salary, but basically it's based on so that's a common one out there in the market right now. It is definitely something you can depend on. It's a little more like business ownership because if I work really hard for the next week or two, I don't make more money in the next week or two because I'm a salon
Yeah.
owner. But it'll start to come later because I'll get more customers, more people doing and buying hair extensions, and so down the road I start making more money. So with this, if things do worse for that quarter because you took more time off, you didn't show up, you didn't charge as much, then they review you, your salary goes down for the next quarter. So salary is I'm sure there's other situations where you go work somewhere and they're just going to give you a set amount every week, but they're also just similar to hourly. They're going to expect you to do more. Like if I ask you to sweep and mop and paint and don't leave and just get 1 hour off, you're the owner of the salon does kind of control more of what you do during the hours of operation if they're paying hourly or salary, right? Because they're like, I'm paying you to work from 9 to 5. I'm going to find something for you to do from 9 to 5. So you're reading a comment. What's the
Yeah.
comment?
They call it salary, but they just mean pay.
They call it salary, but they
Well,
just pay.
there is this. So I was a salon was sharing with me one time. They do this group, like it's a group pay or a team pay thing.
Yeah, that's the
So
salary.
she had a group of 8 stylists, and basically what happened was the accountability factor would come into play. So if 7 of the stylists were producing and the one wasn't, the 7 stylists would go basically start bullying the one to say, "Hey, you're not pulling your weight. You're going to cost us money. What the hell's wrong with you?" You
Right.
know. Now, if it's done correctly, they
Now
should
that
come
is,
and say,
yeah, go ahead. I'm
"What's
sorry.
wrong? You know, what's wrong with you? Let's help you. You know, why are you dipping? Not, hey, what the hell's your problem? You're pulling us down." They would try to like all be
Things
equal with
happen.
each other to
That's
rise up.
that's part of the team-based pay. So you're on a team. That's how they afford to pay a new helper. They bring that you got 5 people producing really well. They bring in the 6th person. So they take all the money and divide it up between the 6. And the ones that produce the most get the bigger salaries. The one that produce the least get the smaller. And so the 6th person that comes on board, that's sort of a higher end way of getting money in their pocket. They're gonna get the least amount. Maybe they're gonna get, let's just make up a number, $300 a week. And then at the end of the quarter, during the quarter also they're evaluating it every week. You're right, the first 5 are saying, hey, you're supposed to be assisting and helping us. You need to be shampooing more people, more faster. You need to get all that color out of the hair. You missed a whole neckline. You didn't get the color out of the temples. If you don't pull your weight, then you're not going to make more salary. You're not even going to make less salary. You're going to be fired because we're depending on that number 6 person to help us so much that you're able to take some of the clients to do on your own. So then in a few months, we can hire number 7.
Number 7, and keep that production going.
Right.
Reminds me of Lucy trying to keep up with the chocolates on the assembly line, you know. trying to keep
I never saw that, but that sounds funny.
Oh yeah, I'll send you the clip. It's hilarious. It's absolutely hilarious. So yeah,
I think we've covered it all.
There's one other thing.
Oh,
the
what?
entrepreneurial, I can't say the word. The entrepreneur spirit.
Mm-hmm.
If you're a commission stylist, yeah, if you're a commission stylist and your book is so full and you've raised your prices and you don't feel comfortable raising your prices any further, or you don't think that you can get any more than where you're at, if you ever feel capped off, go to your owner and talk to him about potentially opening a second location and becoming a co-partner. It might work out. It might be beneficial. Why not?
How can I make more money? What can I do? Like that one came to you. Let that owner see what that owner's ideas are first. But then the other thing is, God, there's so many. You're right. This is a great topic. There's so many possibilities depending on the age of the owner. That owner might be older and ready to get out. They might want to sell the salon to you, give the salon to you, owner finance the salon to you. They might want to do a second location. You're right. They might want to sell you half or a fourth of the business and co-owner it with you. Right? You're right. There's a lot of options that people don't even talk about or think are there. And some of the owners don't even realize that they might be able to do this with some of the staff or commission employees or subcontractors. So they don't even know to recommend it. But you, if you're watching this and you work at a salon, you might think about, like, I like the people I work with. I like the location. I like the environment. I like the clients. I don't want to change much. I want to do more and provide more. I have good ideas. I think I could do social media marketing better than this old owner that doesn't even get social media. So maybe we partner up, go with a business plan and show them what you could offer to grow the business, but you want to share in the bigger ownership. That's a great topic. Yeah. We should have did a whole video about that, but we're not now.
We could. Well, at the end of the day, this is what it comes down to. There is no right or wrong. There is no better or worse. Each one has its pros and cons.
Yep.
You got to figure out which one fits for you under those conditions that we've been discussing.
Right.
And that's really the age-old argument, you know. So let us know what you guys think. Let us know what some of your experiences are. Hey, and you guys have your opinions too. I'd love to hear them.
Did we miss any?
What's that?
I'd like to see comments if we missed any pay structures.
Oh, yeah, right.
Or if there's one that we never even heard of before.
Yeah, that would be awesome too. All right. So thank you guys for watching, and we'll catch you next week.